change. Mama, I'm sorry, and let us rise for a change. Sorry and a vote for Mahama is a vote for the left. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, Mr. President, and welcome to our conversations with Mahama for the Volta Region Edition. I'm sure you know that since the very first media encounter in Accra, we've actually worked very hard to repeat these conversations as we've gone along. So we're here in the Volta region this morning, and even though we're ending the tour later today, we decided that it'd be great to have all of you interact with our incoming president so that at least you can ask whatever questions you have. We can seek some clarification so that we can move along. But certainly, I was hoping that all of us would have tried very hard to be here on time, because we had actually primed His Excellency to be with us very, very early and on time. And you see that he's here right before 8 a.m. Let's do well to stick with time sometimes. It's very important. I know we left a bit late, but certainly, if you ask us to be here at 6 a.m., I have no doubt that I would definitely have been here at 6 a.m. So good morning, everybody, and good morning to the gentleman who is the president of the GJ here in the Volta region. Thank you very much for joining us. So pretty much like we did before, I will ask His Excellency Mr. John Dramani Mahama to address us for a few minutes. And then from there, we'll take questions from you, and we'll take a few at each point, have him respond, and then we'll take it from there. Hopefully, this shouldn't take us beyond 1 hour. So if there's anybody else who is outside and hoping to join us, this is the best time to do so that when we start, we don't have to keep opening the door up and down. We don't keep the noise down, and of course, keep the distractions very, 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 very low. So please, if there's anybody outside, you want to call them, can you check if there's anybody else who wants to join us so that we can do that very, very quickly, and then we can take it from there, please. Once more, thank you so, so much for being with us. We thank God for traveling and journey mercies, and we're grateful also that you made time to be with us, especially for those who are from the local media outlets here who've been with us since we arrived, and genuinely those who travel with us from the launch in Tamale through to the Upper East region, and certainly here also in the Volta region. We are deeply, deeply grateful. The campaign team appreciates your effort and sacrifice, and hopefully this partnership will continue until the wind of change finally settles, and we're looking forward to an outright win come December 7, 2024, and we expect that with your support and help in getting our message out there, certainly victory should be ours. So thank you so much, everybody here in the Volta region. Thank you to the chiefs and stakeholders who've been with us. Thank you to the party executive from the national and local, each and every one of you. I believe I'll now singularly ask that all of us welcome Mr. John Dramani Mahama, the flag bearer and leader of the NDC, to the podium.
Thank you. Today marks the final day of our Phase 1 Volta tour. And it is appropriate to acknowledge and express appreciation to some people. One, I want to thank you, the media, first, for carrying and amplifying our voice and visuals of the events that have taken place over the last 3 days. For those of you who are residents, media in Volta region, we want to thank you for leaving everything that you are doing and, following us to the various locations that we have visited. And then, as usual, for our media from Accra who have been with us since the Tamale launch, to the Upper East region and now to Volta region, Salamat and all your colleagues. I want to say thank you very much to you. We appreciate you. I want to thank our executives who organized this tour, and also our parliamentary candidates. They have been the main organizers of this successful visit, and so I want to express our appreciation to them. I want to thank our supporters who came out in their numbers, our sympathizers, and even those who are not party members, floating voters. Everybody came out to receive us, and I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to the chiefs. Many of them left everything they were doing and came and joined us at the community engagements. And for those whose palaces we visited, they warmly welcomed us. I want to say thank you to them. I want to also comment on a story I heard about snubbing some chiefs. No, we didn't snub any chiefs. It was Ehi, and Ehi was supposed to be a community engagement. There was nothing on the schedule that showed that we're supposed to visit some chiefs. Somebody must have communicated that to the chiefs, but everywhere we went, the regional chairman was ahead. And if he knew that we were supposed to call on the chiefs, he would have taken us to the chiefs. So somebody must have communicated to them, but it definitely was not on our schedule. But I still want to apologize to them. I hear they waited for several hours. And that when I come for the mop-up, I will particularly target Ehi and visit the chiefs so that they feel contented. I also want to express my regret for not being able to make a major stop at Agbozome. Apparently somebody had organized Agbozome too. It was not on our schedule, but they blocked the road when we got to Agbozome, and so I had to come out of the car and address them. But they wanted me to come into the place they had prepared, and we're running late because all the other groups were waiting for us. As those of you who followed us know, we got back here after midnight. We have hardly slept, and then we had to wake up this morning for this media encounter. And so the people of Agbozome, if you are listening to me, we definitely will target you when we come and have a big event for you when we come on the mop-up. It's been a very satisfying tour, and we've crisscrossed the length and breadth of this region. Volta region has a lot of potential, and I think that aside from the deficit in infrastructure, there's a huge need for investments in terms of creating opportunities for young people. I'm quite satisfied with the work we did in the past when NDC has been in government in respect of this, providing electricity to communities. We've electrified more communities in Volta region than any other governments in the history of the Volta region. We've extended water supply to many more communities. We were in Pando day before yesterday, and the Pando water system is one of the projects that I commissioned before I left office, and it added 6 million liters more of water supply to Pando township. The Adidome water supply too was supposed to draw water from the lower Volta and distribute it to 5 constituencies. Unfortunately, after we left office, the distribution of the water was not pursued as vigorously as it should. And so many people who should have benefited from the Adidome water system still do not have clean drinking water. So these are some of the issues we flagged. And it gives us a sense of what to prioritize when we come into office in terms of infrastructure. But aside from infrastructure, I think that we must make a definite effort to invest in the economic potential of the Volta region. I've been talking about an economic corridor, and I call it the Volta OT economic corridor. We know that Volta region and OT border our neighbor Togo, and there's a lot of cross-border trade. And so looking at putting facilities to support farmers in order that they can produce more. There's potential for expanding cassava production. There's potential for expanding rice production. There's potential for expanding cocoa production, especially in the northern Volta and OT regions. There's potential for expanding ginger production. There's potential for expanding production of oil palm. And so these are all things that, if we invest, would bring more resources and improve the incomes of the people of Volta. We also need to put in some infrastructure to stimulate economic activity, especially trade and commerce. And this we can do by creating a corridor, an economic corridor that stretches from Uti all the way to the southern Volta, Aflao, Akachi areas. And so we're looking at a modern market for Aflao, which would be a counterbalance to the popular Ashigame in Lome, so that we can improve trade between the two countries. But aside from that, also upgrade the market in Akachi, upgrade the market, a new market for George. Already we have the whole market, and then upgrade the market in Jasikai and Hohoi, so that it can stimulate trade between that whole corridor. But we need to do some things first. One, upgrade the road between Aflao and Ho, Aflao, George Ho. We must make it a first-class road so that people can commute easily. And then we must also finish the Jasikai and Hohoi road. A good percentage of it has been done, but there's a small stretch left that is in very deplorable condition. And so to prioritize and complete that road, and indeed complete the whole of that eastern corridor, it will stimulate movements of goods and people between the northeastern part of the country and the southern, southeastern part. And so those are things that we would look at. There are a few issues that I want to clarify. But first, we designed UHAS to have a campus at Hohoi. Unfortunately, after we left, that campus has not seen any further development. And so to develop that campus properly, so that the satellite campus of Hohoi is operational, properly operational, will be another priority that we look at. The issue of academic fees for first years, I want to clarify that. We call it no fee stress policy. There are many cases of students who are unable to take up their offers in tertiary education because they simply cannot afford to pay the academic fees. And one wants the situation where everybody who has the opportunity to go to tertiary, to achieve a tertiary education, to be able to take up their places in these institutions. And the first year is particularly stressful because a lot of the children would have come from the free SHS, where the burden of paying fees has been taken off the parents. Then suddenly they come to tertiary, and then bam, they are hit with major payments. And so to smoothen that part, we said we would begin to implement the constitutional provision of progressively free tertiary education. And so it's not going to affect the subvention of universities, indeed, of tertiary institutions. Indeed, we're going to increase the subvention to tertiary institutions. But we're going to budget for this. We estimate that it will cost between 270 and 290 million. We believe that we should be able to do that by resizing and rebalancing the budget to be able to find the resources for it. And it will be administered by the Student Loan Trust. And so the money will be paid to the Student Loan Trust, and the Student Loan Trust will pay that money to the universities on behalf of the students who have been admitted. But it will be a grant, it won't be a loan. The Student Loan Trust will pay it as a grant. It will not be included in the loan portfolio of the students. The students would settle in the first year, and in the second year, when they have been registered on the Student Loan Trust, they will begin to access their loans. And as you know, the loans are payable only when they finish school and have found a job. And so let me state again that it will not affect the subventions, the internally generated funds of the universities, because government will budget for it and give it to the Student Loan Trust to give to the first level 100 students as a grant to pay their academic fees. And then from the second year, they can properly access the student loan. So I hope that this brings clarity to it. I just want to reassure my colleagues in UTAG that it will not affect their IGFs. And indeed, over the years, government subvention to tertiary institutions has been dwindling. And so it's affecting the running of these universities. And so we think that if we resize and rebalance the budget and cut out a lot of waste, we can increase the subventions to universities so that they're able to run more efficiently and provide the quality education that we expect them to provide for students. And so let me leave it here, and then we can start the interaction. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, and thank you so much for the clarification on the academic stress-free fee issue. So thank you, and as I said earlier, we'll take the questions in batches. So there's another microphone on the other side. Beatrice is here, and so for all those who have questions to ask, please just take a little queue right there on the other side of the room, and then the microphone is also here. So please, I encourage the ladies in the room, the few of you standing, to please do well to start off with the questions. Thank you. Yes, Mr. GJ, President, please go ahead.
All right. Thank you, Your Excellency, and the flag bearer of the NDC. I am Emmanuel Eliklim Kobla Agbakode. I am the regional chairman of the Ghana Journalists Association. Your Excellency, I want to find out, you touch on key policies and programs. When it comes to the media landscape, yourself, you've been in the communication industry for long. Talking about the Media Development Fund, that will enhance professionalism. What are some of the policies or the programs that you have in place that when you are being given the opportunity to be the next president of this republic, you will put out there for the practitioners in this country? Thank you.
Yeah, it's okay. Okay. Good morning, Mr. President. My name is Ivy Satoji. I work with Joy News in the region. Right, the coastal erosion has been a significant issue in the southern part, my area specifically, affecting communities and livelihoods. What specific measures will you implement to combat coastal erosion and protect these vulnerable areas? The Pokpogbo and Fuveme, Pokpogbo in particular is gone. Fuveme is almost gone. Previous governments, including your governments, have promised the people of that area to protect the coastal areas, that's defending the coast. Right now, a lot is happening in that area. The people of that area, especially Fuveme and the other communities, are really, really suffering. We want to know what exactly you will do, apart from visiting and giving them gifts and other things. We know you have tried in your previous government, but what specifically would you do when you are elected as president to help these people in these areas? Thank you.
I'm Lambert Ativo. I'm with the GGA in the region. My question is, in 2016, your government started the conversion of polytechnics to technical universities, and it continues up to this time. The conversion is done, but there's one major demand from the technical universities, which is they should be given some funds to fully implement the new Technical University Act. Is this something that is part of your manifesto that you look at?
Okay, so we have the first three. I'll have Mr. Mahama take the questions for the first three, and then you can take it from there.
Thank you very much.
The first one was on the Media Development Fund.
Yeah, the GGA president. Let me take the opportunity to congratulate the GGA. I hear you celebrated your anniversary, I think yesterday. Yeah, and as a fully paid up member of the association, I congratulate all my colleagues. We launched the Media Development Fund while I was in office, and the intention was to channel some resources in order to support and upgrade our media in Ghana. It was supposed to include training, courses. It was supposed to include provision of some gadgets and items that would assist the media in their practice. Unfortunately, even on the first project, there was a lot of confusion to do with supply of laptops, and so we put it on ice, and nothing continued until we left office. But it's something we want to look at again. I think that we must improve how the fund is managed, and there must be more input from the media itself on how it wants the fund to be applied. I think that if we do it properly, it should help in terms of scholarships for media people, short training courses, providing them with the kinds of gadgets that will assist them to be able to do their work. So it's something that we want to look at again. But the best thing you can give the media is to give them the freedom to do their work. Unfortunately, that has not happened under this government. Media people have been hounded, some have run into exile, some have been threatened, their lives have been threatened, and indeed, unfortunately, some have paid the ultimate price, like Ahmed Swali did, you know. And so you can trust that as a person who's a member of the Journalists Association myself, I'm not the kind of person who will hound the media when I'm in office. And so one gift I can give to you is that you'll be allowed to do your work without anybody intimidating and harassing you. With regards to coastal erosion, when we were in government, we invested in a lot of sea defense projects. These sea defense projects are very expensive, but we protected the coastline at Keita, Adan, and other parts of the coast from here all the way to Axim. But of course, you know that Ghana has a very long, Atlantic coastline. And so, because of climate change, we're seeing more tidal waves, and that is because the polar ice cap is melting. And so it means that the sea levels are rising. And so where we used to live before, the sea is climbing up gradually to those places. And that is exactly what is happening. So ultimately, it will either involve, relocating some people to higher ground, so that we avoid the destruction that continues to take place. But it also might involve, if we're able to raise the resources, providing sea defense capability in those areas that are worst affected. There's a project ongoing. I'm not sure if it's World Bank or African Development Bank, but it's one of them that has to do with beach replenishment. I think it was approved by Parliament recently, and that involves dredging the sea and piling more sand onto the beach in order to push the sea back. That project is about to start, and it is my hope that we'll identify the areas that are most affected by the tidal waves and start the beach replenishment from there. If that works, then it will save us having to go through the more expensive process of providing sea defense capability in those places. We were responsible for converting our polytechnics to technical universities, and the intention was to invest to improve facilities in these technical universities so that they will achieve the purpose for which we set them up. Unfortunately, we left office, and not much has been done in that space. And I'm sure when our manifesto comes out, there will be something on what we intend to do with technical universities. But we midwifed the birth of these universities, and we know why we brought those universities into being, in order to expand the middle-level technical skills that we have. the business environment is changing in Ghana, and there's a high demand now for middle-level technicians and mechanical engineers and people with science and technology skills. And so we're shifting from the former grammar school education and mostly humanities-led education to education that provides young people with skills to be able to go into the world of work. And so the technical universities form a very important plank in achieving that objective. And so certainly when we come, we're going to increase investments in these universities by providing them with the tools to be able to give the students a practical education and equip them with the skills that they need to go into the world of work. And so you can be sure that it will be a priority action for us. Thank you.
Next set, please, very quickly. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to find out exactly what the no fees stress program would actually be covering, because you talked about the grants actually covering their academic fees. I'd like to know the specific components in that these grants would actually be covering. Is it going to fully cover 100% of the fees that they may have to pay in school? Want to know about that. And the national Thanksgiving and prayer for, when you become president, or if you become president, is there a specific need that initiative or program is aimed at solving? Thank you.
The name is Albert Kuzo. I write for Ghana Web. His Excellency, I didn't hear you talk about the region's health sector, but I believe you have that at heart. My question has to do with the regional hospital, that's the whole teaching hospital. That facility is overstressed, especially at the emergency department. I want to know from you, if you are given the opportunity again, come December 7 this year, are you going to prioritize the facelift or expansion of our regional hospital? Thank you.
Anybody else? Please.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Yeah, that's okay. I'm always concerned about the environment. My name is Alberto Mario Noretti. I'm the Volta regional correspondent of the Daily Graphic. I'm always concerned about the environment. Galamsey is going on with impunity. We are polluting our rivers. We are depleting the forests. Clearly, the future generation will only become survivors, not inheritors. I didn't hear you talk about the environment. Do you have any special plan to halt this mass destruction of our environment? Thank you.
Okay, sir, we've taken the three. Hopefully you can take them and then we'll take the next set. So prepare. May I welcome our chairman for the Volta region. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Thank you very much. It's the no fee stress policy, and the rights coverage is academic fees. I think at first when it was announced there was a bit of confusion because some people use academic facility user fees. That is a small component of the total academic fees, and so it will cover academic fees. Of course, hostel charges and things are not included in academic fees, and so that is the correct nomenclature. Research shows that more than 90% of people in Ghana believe in God and belong to one faith or the other. If that is so, and we are a God-believing nation, then it means that we, apart from our physical labor and the efforts that we make to improve our country, on the spiritual and divine plane, we must thank God for everything that He does for us. And it's not new. In the US of A, they have the National Day of Thanksgiving and Prayer. in several countries, in Congo, in Zambia, in many countries, they have it. And I think that it pays to set one day aside so that all of us who are committed in our faith are able to make supplication to God to continue to bless our efforts to make our country prosperous and to make it progress. And so that is the reason behind it. It's a National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving. It will cover all faiths, and so the Christians would have theirs, and the Muslims would also have theirs, led by the Chief Imam, and the Christians, the Christian Council, the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council. Indeed, it's the faith-based organizations that will lead the process, and they will be responsible for the organization. Government will just be a facilitator, and as president, I'll lend my presence to these prayer and thanksgiving services. We converted the Volta Regional Hospital into a teaching hospital, but when you convert a regional hospital to a teaching hospital, you must invest in the facilities to bring it up to the standard of a teaching hospital. Unfortunately, we left office, and since then that has not been done. And so the Volta, the whole teaching hospital will be prioritized for upgrade in terms of facilities in order that it rises to the standard of a teaching hospital, because now we have the University of Health and Allied Sciences here, which does a medical training program. And so we need to improve the facilities there so that teaching and learning can take place properly, and so that the students who are coming out of UHAS are better prepared, to go into the hospitals and the laboratories to provide the service that we expect them to do. And so you can be sure that it will be one of the things that we look at. Volta region is lucky that mining doesn't take place here. You have a very beautiful environment. I mean, when you drive through the region, you're just impressed at the freshness of the air, the greenness of the vegetation, and how beautiful the region looks. Maybe it's a blessing from God that He didn't put any minerals under the earth. And I do think that we can maximize the opportunities that God has given us: sunshine, water, land, to improve tourism, to improve agriculture, to put our people to work. And so you are lucky you are not seeing some of the devastation that is taking place. I have seen some of the worst of it. You cannot even see it properly when you drive. I have seen destruction of the forest, of the land, from the air in a helicopter, and it is heart-wrenching. We need to do something about it. And so we have a policy on how to tackle the issue of Galamsey. I've been talking about it for some time. We're going to identify the mining districts, and each district is going to have an office of the Minerals Commission and an office of the Environmental Protection Agency. All the agencies that are meant to regulate mining must decentralize to the district level and put officers there who will be responsible for what goes on with the districts. The laws are there, the regulations are there. The problem is just the implementation. And I've said that we also should allow the chiefs to come into some aspects of environmental protection. And so it will be a collaboration with the traditional authority, the law enforcement agencies, and the regulatory agencies to make sure that somebody is held responsible for what goes on in any mining district. We are going to introduce what we call cooperative mining, and all these young students at the University of Mines and Technology, UMAT, in Takwa, who are being trained as geologists, as mining engineers and all that, are going to be attached to every small-scale mining concession, and they will supervise and guide how the mining takes place so that it is done safely and it is done in an environmentally friendly manner. Aside from that, as mining takes place, a certain amount of money will be put aside from the mining process. That will be put aside by those who are doing the mining. And at the end of it, if they reclaim the land, cover, plant trees, they'll be provided with seedlings for replanting the area. If they do that, the deposit that they put will be returned to them. If they don't, then that money will be used to contract whoever will come and reclaim the area. We also want to involve some of the young boys who are involved in Galamsey in tree growing. And so in some of the mined out areas, after we have leveled the land, we will employ these young boys, we'll pay them to do it, to go and plant trees on the land that has been reclaimed, so that we can get the vegetation grow again and make the environment recover. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. So I think we'll take the next 3 and hopefully we'll be looking at winding up at exactly 5 minutes to 9 a.m. Thank you very much, sir. So may I end? Good morning, Honorable Agboza, our MP for Adaklu is here with us too. Welcome, sir.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Komla Klucha. I work at Media General. There are concerns that 2015 will be a difficult year, and you've had cause to say same because of the current challenges that the economy has faced. But 2025, excuse me, the issue also has to do with the promises that you're making. The concern is that the economy may not be strong enough to recover within the 4 years that you may be in office. The 4 years that you may be in office, with the promises that you're making, how you are going to be able to fulfill all of these. What do you say to this? Then 2, we have heard the Trade Minister, K.T. Hammond, indicate that the Commander Sugar Factory will be leased for between 15 to 20 years, and that an investor has been seen or identified. They're already dealing with him. I mean, is this respite for you? Are you that pleased that yes, there's a way forward with respect to that?
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Fred Kwame Asari. I work with Joy News TV. I'd want to know your view on the NDC refusing to sign the PICS Pact. Thank you very much.
Good morning, His Excellency. My name is Charles Sugro. I work for Hills FM Adaklu. Please, with local, rural, tourist potential areas, what plans do you have in uplifting these areas should you become the president? Then 2, with the current hardship globally and in Ghana, with you becoming the president, do you have any plan as far as salary advance is concerned? Thank you. Salary advance? For government workers. Yes. No. Salary advance for government workers. Taking, for example, you pay 15th, then the rest, because of the nature of hardship we're going through, to ease burdens on families.
Okay, so we've got the next 3 waiting, please. Salary advance. Well, I don't know. Sometimes it depends on the conditions of service, or? Well, let's see what the
Thank you very
said.
much. Thank you very much. Let me take this quickly so that we can have another round before we wrap up. Yes, 2025 is going to be a difficult year, and we all do have a vision for making our country prosperous. And so, for instance, this Volta OT economic corridor I'm talking about, it will require investments. But what it needs is that if our government comes into office, we need to prioritize, we need to rebalance, we need to realign and shift resources to what matters most, instead of wasting resources on the things that don't matter. And so we believe that in rebalancing the budget and realigning the budget, we should be able to prioritize and put our money in the places that will give us the best returns. And I believe that fixing the whole Aflao Road is one such priority. I believe that building a modern market in Aflao is one such priority. And so there are things that we can prioritize. And so all the promises we make are based on prioritizing our resource utilization and rebalancing how the budget has been done. And so, for instance, if we talk about no fee stress, and we're going to spend 275 million to assist first-year students settle into university. The Office of the President budget is 2 billion cedis, and in a space of 9 months, the President spent 69 million cedis on travel. I think that we can cut some places and make resources available for other things that matter more, and we are determined to do that. We're going to cut out waste and spend our money in the areas that we think will give us the best return. I've read about the hurry to lease out the Commander Sugar Factory to an investor. You see, the thing about this government is they're not transparent in anything they do. And I warn the investor, I hope it's gone through a transparent procurement process. And so, buyer beware. Whoever that investor is, he should be very careful, because if the process has not been transparent, we are not willing to abide by any transfer of that facility. We must open it up and get the best investor to come and partner with government to run that sugar factory. So whoever it is, I'm just sending a note of caution to him. I haven't seen any transparent process in trying to lease out that sugar factory. And if we come and it was not transparent and it was some, under the table transfer of a national asset, we will not be very cooperative in that regard. And so that is a warning. I read the statement made by our chairman this morning, and even though it is not a decision that we have sat and taken, I can understand the position he's coming from. He's talking about justice and saying that we should not glorify just signing a peace pact without acting to make sure that peace exists. Because when we sign a peace pact and people gun down 8 of our compatriots and nobody cares, no investigation is taken, no compensation is paid, then what was the use of signing the peace pact? And so I can understand where he's coming from. But of course, we haven't sat and taken a definite decision on that. But I do think that those who normally clamor about signing peace pacts, getting us to go to Movenpick Hotel, serve small chops and drinks, and then we think that just by signing that paper, everything is going to be okay. He's telling them that everything will not be okay unless we go further than just the signature on the peace pact. So I think that's the message he's sending. For salary advance, I don't know. I'm honest. I don't know what position to take on this one. But if it's something that organized labor is concerned about, then it's something that we can judge and negotiate and see what within the parameters of the economy, can contain a request like that. Thank you.
Can we please take the next set? And if you can please answer the one on tourism, and when you take the next set. The first question was on tourism, but I think you were slightly distracted. Thank you. Yes, please. About the potential for tourism and what your government will do about it, please. Thank you, sir.
My name is Joyce Jijoafol. I work with Global FM Hope. My question is, water supply to our regional capital has been very erratic in recent times. And according to the Ghana Water Company Limited Management, it tells us it's due to demand exceeding supply. And since the operation at the Beve Water Treatment Plant has not seen any expansion work in its history, what's the plan of the NDC in improving upon the potable water supply to Ho and the region as well? Thank you.
Thank you. It's okay.
Your Excellency, my name is Benjamin Aklama. I report for City FM and Channel 1 TV from the Volta region. Like you mentioned yourself, agriculture is an area that we have great potential in the Volta region. The challenge has been that the youth who desire to farm struggle to access good land. Irrigation is not available to them, mechanization is not available, and so we import even vegetables from neighboring countries. When we have an airport that is ideal, and we could be producing vegetables from here and exporting using this airport and increasing the wealth of the area and also earning Ghana foreign exchange. What is your plan for agriculture, especially for the youth? Will you collaborate with us to establish farm zones? And let me also touch on the Keta port. What's your plan for it, the way it is as we speak? The whole abattoir as well. We don't know what has happened with it since you constructed it under the GAM project. Do you have any further plans for it? Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency. My name is Wisdom Hedejube. I work with the XYZ Broadcasting. Your Excellency, there's been concerns that some Ghanaians are more Ghanaians than the others, and especially the Volta region. We saw what happens in Gakli, where we went yesterday. What is the plan to ensure that the harassment against some so-called Ghanaians who are not Ghanaians will end? Thank you.
Good morning, President Mahama. My name is Maxwell Agbagba. I work with Joy FM and Enjoy News. A common denominator for your message in a lot of the places that we visited is on accountability and the fight against corruption. During the visit to Togbi Afede, he had concerns, and he actually described the situation we find ourselves as, quote, extremely embarrassing. I want to believe you have a small book where you've written the number of scandals that we have in this country. I want to have a sneak peek into that. So the top 3 scandals that you subject to the accountability test if you're elected president. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think that this will probably be sealing it. So, Mr. President, we would like to take these ones. I'm very, very interested in your response to Maxwell's question. Thank you, sir.
And I'll start with him. I'm going to give you the responsibility for establishing the scandal tracker. No, but seriously, I do think that we must get a handle on the issue of corruption. And as I've said, the asset test is not post-regime accountability, it is regime accountability. It's easy to hound your political opponents when they leave office and hold them accountable, but the real test of the fight against corruption is to hold your own persons accountable. And so we've come to the stage where we must do something drastic about the issue of corruption. And that's why I have said that we're going to take the fight against corruption to a whole new level. The first is to avoid political interference with the anti-corruption institutions and allow them unfettered access to do their duty. And so if we're able to do that and let the process take its course, then I think that it will be a better way of handling the issues of corruption. Our people are demanding that we are more accountable than we've been in the past, and I think that this is the last opportunity for the political elite to turn the situation around. We've seen what is happening in other countries. The youth of Africa are tired of the waste of the corruption, the lack of opportunities for them, the lack of jobs. And so if democracy must survive, then we need to do something drastic in order that our democracy survives. And so the next government is not going to have business as usual. Ghanaians have been patient because we know there's an election coming up. And that is why you won't see what is happening in Kenya happening here, because they know that an opportunity is coming for them to be able to make a change. But if that change happens and a new government comes and thinks that it can do the same things that the MPP is doing, I'm afraid something will give. And that's why I keep warning our people. They say, oh, we'll win, the MPP will go, and it will be our 10. Who's 10? You know, and so let's be careful. It will be the 10 of all Ghanaians to open the opportunities of this country to everybody, and not say that we're going to come. There's no use fighting for political power if we're coming to repeat the same mistakes that MPP has done. And so it's just something that we need to look at. But sure, let's start the scandal tracker, and we'll decide after looking at the tracker which the top 3 issues that we should look at. But I mean, there are so many scandals. It's like a scandal every week. And so Ghanaians are scandal fatigued. It no longer surprises anybody when a new scandal is exposed, because I mean, it looks like it's something that we are getting numb to, and we need to make a change. Harassment and issues of citizenship. When we went to Gakli, the complaint was that immigration officers and other officers confront people and collect their Ghana cards from them on the allegation that they are not Ghanaians. We are a nation that is united in our diversity, and we come from different cultural backgrounds. No one ethnic group is more Ghanaian than the other. And so you cannot just listen to a person's name and assume that they are not Ghanaian. Of course, all over our country, we share borders with our neighbors. And until colonialism, we were the same people, and we moved freely across the sub-region. It is the colonial boundaries that separated us. And so our cultures are the same. We eat the same foods, we dance the same dances, our names are similar. And so if you hear my name and you think that because my name does not sound like a certain name, then it means that I'm not Ghanaian, I think that that is a sad mistake. We must reorient our officials to be able to deal with this particular issue. You see, the point is, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, when he announced our independence, said that everybody within the borders of Ghana on 6th March 1957 is a Ghanaian. There were Lebanese here, there were Syrians here, there were Indians here, there were Zambramas here, there were Ashantis here, there were Ewes here, there were Fantis here, there were Gans, there were Gunjas, there were Frafres, there were Dagatis. All of us are Ghanaian, because all those people have their great-grandchildren, you know, still living within the borders of Ghana. And so, even though we are diverse, we are united in our diversity. And so we should be careful about how we alienate, you know, our people. And that's why I said that it's only the National Identification Authority that can withdraw a person's Ghana card and say that after research or investigation we found that you didn't qualify to have the card. But to just meet somebody, ask their name, listen to their accent, and say because of this you are not Ghanaian, I think I don't subscribe to that. With regards to the abattoir, I don't know what the current state of the abattoir is, but I mean, during NDC time we built a couple of abattoirs in order to improve handling of meat, to make handling of meat safer. And my understanding is that those abattoirs are supposed to be operational and used. I don't know what has happened to the whole abattoir. If it is not being used, then when we come, we have to operationalize it so that we can make sure that meat that is handled and eaten by our people is safe and does not create any health hazards. This Keita port has been used as a red herring by this government for a long time. At one point they said a feasibility study, they came and brought some white people to walk around there and all that. They brought some things measured. I can assure you that they have absolutely no intention of delivering a Keita port. They wanted to do like they did with the Buankra Inland Port. And my understanding is that they were going to take some money from Gapoha to come and build the administration block. You don't have warehouse. You don't have, what do they call that water thing? Journalists. You don't have breakwater to allow ships to come in. And your first priority is to build administration block. The same way they built Buankra administration block how many years ago? Eventually that building has deteriorated so badly, it's no longer fit for purpose. The first thing is, let's see the feasibility study. Every project starts with a feasibility study. And so if you say you've done the feasibility study, let us all look at it and see what is in the feasibility study. That is the first step. And then once we take that first step, then we go to the next step. But this government has turned the whole thing on its head. They have a port director, they have land cruisers, they've employed staff, they are paying them when you have only 2 containers standing on the land and a signboard. And so we would reprioritize it. One, I want to become president, and one of the first things I'll ask for is, show me the feasibility study for the Keita port. And when we have seen the feasibility study, we would let you see it yourselves. And then based on that, we can take it from there. If there must be a port, there must be a specialized port for something. Because you have Tema, you have Lome. And so if you are having an intermediate port, is it going to handle the same cargoes that Lome and Tema are handling? You know, so those are all things that we need to look at. And when we have looked at it, then we can determine how we move forward. And so they should stop playing politics with it. Let us see the feasibility study. Let us see the design of the port. And when we have seen that, we can move forward. We have land and in abundance. And the African Development Bank president said, we must make Agric sexy in order for the young people to be attracted to get involved in it. Our young people don't want to take a hoe and cutlass and go into the bush and start clearing land. And so the only way you can attract them into agriculture is to make it sexy and cool to be in agriculture. And that's why we're talking of farmer service centers, we're talking of greenhouses. You go to places and there are greenhouses where they are growing vegetables for the market. You know, if we have mechanization services, young people will be prepared to go into agriculture because a tractor will come and plow for him. You've given him his improved seeds. He will plant, mechanized planting and harvesting. He needs a combined harvester to harvest his products. He's not going to go with a sickle and be cutting his rice. And so that's why we're saying we should have farmer service centers that support the farmers. In the past, all our agricultural strategies have been shots in the dark. We throw subsidized fertilizer into the system and we hope that it will be used to increase food production. We just throw improved seeds into the system and we think that it will be used to improve production. What we're saying is, let's have farmer service centers in all the districts. We will have the agricultural extension officers there. We'll have the seeds there. They will register all the farmers in their catchment area. They will measure their farms. This has 5 acres, this has 10 acres. This one is growing rice. This one is growing groundnuts. This one is growing ginger. What support does the farmer need? And then we'll plan that support for the farmer so that we make sure that we are maximizing what they can produce. There's a drought currently, and there might be hunger in the lean season because it's not raining in many parts of the country. Indeed, I think in the next 1 week, if it doesn't rain in the north, a lot of the maize crop and several other crops will be lost because it will be too late to clear the land and replant. And so our agric minister should start, and those concerned should start strategizing on food security. That means that we must move more into irrigation because you need to control the factors that go into agriculture. You can have your land, you can have your sunshine, but you don't control the rain. And so if the rain doesn't come, you must be able to supplementary irrigate. And that's why we in government identified a lot of the places that have potential for irrigation and we developed them. And so we need to move young people onto those lands and provide them with mechanization support to be able to produce. There's a whole of the southern Volta, billions of cubic feet of water flowing into the Atlantic. If you go to Egypt and you see the Nile, it's like a long green snake, left and right for 1 kilometer on both sides. You have farms all along the Nile. We should be doing the same on our river. If you look at the southern Volta, I mean, it's bush along the whole southern Volta. A few people have gone to the left bank and are doing some commercial agriculture there, maize, and then some others are doing banana, the foreign companies for export. We can expand all that area and settle our young people on the land to be able to produce all-round food for supply to the market. I've heard this said several times. Ghana Water Company says the cities are outgrowing the water supply. Yes, they will outgrow the water supply if for 8 years you don't add 1 gallon of water. Certainly, they would outgrow the water supply. And that's why you must always plan ahead. And that's why we have invested in expanding water supply systems. In Accra alone, we expanded Accra's water supply by 40 million gallons when we were in office. Since the last 8 years, not 1 gallon has been added. But the city is growing. It's the same with Ho. Ho is expanding as a city, and it cannot rely only on the current water source. And that's why we built the Adidome water treatment plant, because it takes water from the southern Volta. That water is going to waste anyway. It's flowing into the Atlantic. And so we said treat it and supply 5 constituencies with water. And so we built the plant. We started phase 1 of the distribution, and this government has not continued the other phases, because if it did, then Adidome water can be connected to the whole water supply to bring additional water into Ho. And so it's thinking with a vision and being one step ahead. Unfortunately, this government doesn't have that vision, and it's not only Ho, even it's Accra. Accra's, before, when we did the Pong expansion with 40 million gallons, Adenta and East Legon and everybody started getting water. Today they are rationing water in Accra. If your taps open twice a week, you are lucky. And so we need to expand, the water supply. And one of the projects we are looking at is the Sogakope water supply. It was meant to pipe water to Lome and supply. Lome has a shortage of water. And so it was like a bilateral thing between Ghana and Togo to put a water treatment plant at Sogakope and treat the water, serve all the communities along the corridor, that is Keta, Denu, and all of them, serve all of them, and eventually end up in Lome and supply Lome City and Lome Port with water. That project is viable, but there were disagreements about the water tariffs and all that. But another way we can make it viable is to make it a double-pronged water supply system. So the water will be pushed to serve all the communities along the route to Lome. And then also another line will be pushed towards Accra to serve the Dawa industrial area. There's a new industrial area coming up at Dawa. And then to reach Tema and serve the free zones and the industrial enclave in Tema. I think that if we combine the two, that is Lome, the communities along the route, to Tema, the industrial enclave and all that, it will make that project viable. And so it's something that we are prepared to look at again when we come into office, so that we can increase the water supply. And finally, tourism. I mean, everybody knows that Volta region is has a very good potential for tourism. And indeed, a lot of domestic tourism takes place. Even people come from outside to enjoy the ecotourism that you have here, the waterfalls, the beautiful vegetation, the mountains, and all that. I think that if we invest in developing these tourist sites, it will allow more people to come in. And that's why we even built the whole airport, because we thought that it will allow people to fly into Ho and, do a tourism tour. We need to package it. And so we must get the tour companies to do a package that either brings people by bus, and takes them to all the tourist sites so that they can enjoy. You have a beautiful hotel. Volta Serene is, a lovely place to be. I know they do a lot of conference tourism, and so a lot of people come for conferences and things. But I think that it's a potential that we can expand. And one of the things the next tourism minister must do is to look at the tourist potential of all our regions, including Volta region, and see how we can get the tour companies to advertise and market the tourist potential and be able to bring people into the region. Now let me make a correction. The National Day of Prayer and Thanksgiving is not a holiday. It will be a working day, but we will take time off and pray. And so some people think that I'm declaring a holiday for National Thanksgiving and Prayer. It's not a holiday. And the Gunja girl, his name is Agboja, not Agboza. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Well, I always tell him that he's actually my map in and around Ghana. So every day I'm learning something new. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. We appreciate your time. And let me also say a very, very big thank you to Stevens Hotel. They actually said, Mr. President and all of us could actually use this hall for free. So thank you very much to Stevens. And thank you to all of you, our brothers and sisters from the region, from Greater Accra, Joy FM, Onia, Adom, Wezor, Unique.